Been rain. I'm gonna sit down here for a minute. For some reason, the sidewalk's a little damp. Well, my shorts is still, a little damp. Anyway, for some reason, I dreamed a little bit about my grandpa Redden last night. It's my dad's dad. I remember being nervous, back in the 70s, being around my grandpa. He had this loud mouth. Here comes a loud vehicle, car. Anyway, he had a brother, my uncle, so Leland. So I guess you call him my great uncle, right? Anyway, I love my uncle Leland. I really did. He just. Dad said when Dad was growing up, Grandpa ran a service station, and Dad would have to go up there to the house and wake him up. Now, my uncle Leland fought in World War II, and he shot those anti-aircraft guns. Dad said the first 2 hours he was mean as hell. He'd cuss you out. He'd always scratching his head. Dad knock on Uncle Leland's door and say, Dad, of course, the brothers there, Grandpa and his brothers. Anyway, Dad would knock on the door and say, Dad, I want you down there, Leland. And Leland would say, what's that SOB want now? Mean, scratching his head. Now I was never around my Uncle Leland when he first woke up, but I was around him enough. He was the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet. When you'd go to his house in Stearns, Kentucky, and by the way, he won an award for his yard numerous times, the most beautiful looking yard. But when you go to his house, he was always going in the refrigerator that guy would never let you go hungry. My Uncle Leland, he got everything out of the refrigerator. He got tomatoes, mayonnaise, bread, lunch meat, anything. I guess what it is when he's orphaned and he fought World War II, I guess he went so damn hungry so many times. I know they did. My grandpa told me they did. That he just, he didn't want no one else to go through that at all. But every single time you go visit him and my Aunt Pearl, your husband and wife, my Uncle Leland, he always went to the refrigerator. He put everything on the kitchen table. Mayonnaise, tomato. I don't know anybody in the family. My dad doesn't even do that. My Uncle Leland, my grandpa didn't do that. He'd feed you. But my Uncle Leland, he'd get everything out. Tomatoes, bread. He would fill the whole damn table up. Food, just the way he was. I wasn't nervous for him, Uncle Lee. My grandpa was nervous. I knew my grandpa would never hurt me. I knew he loved me, but my grandpa Redden he never talked. He yelled. And of course, he used strong language in front of me. I'm 11, 12, 13 years old, and he's using strong language. I don't remember my Uncle Leland ever really what you call cussing. I wasn't nervous around my Uncle Leland at all. I was very comfortable around my Uncle Leland, but my grandpa had such a loud mouth, he'd make you nervous. I remember being nervous around my grandpa a million times. But I knew, I didn't know anything until he told me about his orphan life, but I knew that, I knew he never hurt me. I knew that. He had a rough voice, people. I guess you could detect a little meanness. Now, when he was orphaned, apparently his uncle was he stayed with his uncle for a while, whom was an alcoholic. And my cousin Don told me at Kings Island one time, he heard the story goes, my grandpa got hold of a bicycle. And he came in 5 minutes late, and his uncle, being drunk, apparently tore up the bike. Damaged it where my grandpa couldn't ride it. And I think my grandpa Redden went to his grave hating him for that. I look back at it, you can tell. Cousin Don says his uncle was pretty damn mean to him. An alcoholic, drunk all the time. But I guess that right there alone would make a miserable orphan life. You're an orphan if you ain't got no mom and dad. I don't care what relatives you stay with. If your mom and dad's gone, you're an orphan. But my Uncle Leland, he's one of the coolest guys I've ever known. I've never known anybody, soon as you walk into the door, he's in the refrigerator. Or they're in a I've never known anybody. I mean, he would get everything out. And if you'd say you wasn't hungry, he would, oh yeah you are, yeah you are. I mean, he made you eat. So I look back at it all. That tells me they starved to death. They hated their childhood. Totally hated the orphan, miserable. But Uncle Leland used to get everything out on the table. God rest his soul.